Kamala Harris pulls ahead in the polls in the race to be the US president. Foxtel is up for sale, and the case of the Russian chess champion who poisoned her rival by putting mercury on one of the chess pieces. Welcome to Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2024. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, the main story this morning, the race to be president of the United States is, well, it's tightening up now with Democratic nominee Kamala Harris now even with Republican Donald Trump and ahead in some battleground states.
In three of the big battleground states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania and Michigan, a New York Times Siena College poll put Ms. Harris ahead by 4 percentage points. It's pretty much the first time that quality polls have put the Democrats, either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, in front of Donald Trump. In terms of who Americans trust most to handle the economy and immigration, both issues that are key to the election, Mr. Trump still wins. The third major issue, in the three big swing states at least, is abortion. Ms. Harris's favourability rating has increased. For example, in Pennsylvania, it's up 10 percentage points in just a month, according to the New York Times. But many respondents said she's too liberal. Another interesting finding from the poll is that many more people are now happy with the choice they've been given for president, compared to when Joe Biden was challenging Donald Trump. The other three states which are expected to be crucial in winning the White House are Arizona, Georgia and Nevada. Basically, certain states, California and New York, the two big examples, they'll vote Democrat no matter what. The rural states will vote Republican no matter what. Texas is the big one that tends to vote Republican. So these swing states are the ones that really matter.
That's a fascinating finding, that one, that people are happy with the choice that they've now been given, that they actually feel like they've got an option, a viable option on either side.
Yeah, and from both sides of politics, from the Republicans and the Democrats.
Yeah, no, that's good. The fight for the White House obviously will have far-ranging implications for global politics, including Australia. But more immediately, I suppose it's important for what it means in the Middle East, isn't it? And there were some really horrific stories from the region over the weekend.
Yeah, sure was. An Israeli airstrike on a Gaza City school compound housing displaced Palestinian families killed around 100 people over the weekend, though Israel said the toll was inflated and 19 militants were among the dead. Video from the site showed body parts scattered among rubble and more bodies being carried away and covered by blankets. The Israeli strike drew condemnation from Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong, Arab states, Turkey, France, Britain and the European Union, and an expression of deep concern from the US, which has been working with partners to prevent the 10-month-old Gaza conflict from escalating into a regional war. That's according to Reuters. This will all play out in the campaign to win the White House. It's not quite clear which side of politics, Democrats or Republican, are more trusted on this issue.
All right. Now, back home again, Sean, let's take a look at local markets. A big week for earnings season with several large ASX stocks providing full-year results.
We have JB Hi-Fi today, CSL and James Hardie tomorrow, Commonwealth Bank on Wednesday, Telstra and Goodman on Thursday. Friday's a quieter day. Domain Holdings comes out on Friday. It's going to be busy. I'm looking forward to it, Michael. We're starting the week with the S&P ASX 200 at 7,777.7 points. That's where it closed on Friday, up about 1.25%. Good day. For the week, though, the ASX 200 finished down a couple of percent. Futures trading suggests the local market will open up about 0.5%.
And after the show, Sean, you have an interview coming up with Anna Milne from Wilson Asset Management.
Yeah, sure do. We talked to Anna ahead of the results that are coming out this week about some of the big companies reporting. So we talked to her about Commonwealth Bank, for example, and we talk about Telstra, as well as some of the smaller companies and what she expects to see from them. So definitely a must listen if you're an investor.
Yeah, sure is. It is a good chat. Stick around for that one. It's coming up after the show. Now checking international markets, thanks to Blue Chip Communication, the experts helping financial services companies market, communicate and grow. Visit bluechipcommunication.com.au. Much happening on Wall Street, Sean?
Finished slightly higher over the weekend with volatility easing somewhat. For the week, the S&P 500 was flat. The US inflation report, or a key US inflation report, is due for release at 10:30 p.m. Australian time on Wednesday. Markets are in a bit of a holding pattern until then. The June quarter earnings season is almost over. That's on Wall Street. 91% of the top 500 have reported. The results are good, but have been a bit mixed, with some tech stocks and some consumer discretionary sectors like travel looking just a touch weak. Almost 79% of companies have beaten expectations. That's slightly above the norm of 76% of companies beating expectations. In terms of the numbers, Brent crude has been climbing the past few sessions. It's now trading just below $80 a barrel. Gold's up, worth around $24.30 an ounce. Iron ore is down to $100 a tonne, and the Aussie dollar's buying just under 66 US cents.
Petrol's relatively cheap at the moment. This is based on my extensive weekend research. I got kind of diesel for $1.70 odd.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad.
Well, you're obviously living in Sydney, so it's actually pretty good in Sydney at the moment. But that's not necessarily across the board.
That's what you're saying. You're saying my sample size of one isn't wholly representative of the whole country.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
In fact, would you like to know where it's cheaper and where it's not cheaper?
Yes, actually, I do.
Okay. So pretty good in Sydney, pretty good in Melbourne, pretty good in Brisbane at the moment. Adelaide's also cheap, and Perth's on the way down too. So I would say, in following the ACCC website on their petrol price data, this is about as good as it's gotten. Normally you have some cities high, some low, but most of the main cities, in fact all the main cities, are either at lows or on the way down.
I'm pretty proud of my contribution to the show today, Sean.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I've still got a fair bit to cover, Sean. We'll be back in a moment with the rest of the day's business news. Sean, Intelligence Chief Mike Burgess says up to 4 countries, including Iran, are actively involved in foreign interference in Australia.
ASIO has found countries involved in foreign interference in Australia and diaspora communities, and some of them are a surprise. That's what Mike Burgess, who of course runs the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, said. He was talking on ABC's Insiders. Foreign interference and espionage were key security concerns for the National Intelligence and Security Agency, with a range of countries caught attempting to threaten and intimidate diaspora communities. Iran was able to be identified publicly because the federal minister had already done so, Burgess said. The spy chief's foreign interference remark follows Republican US presidential candidate Donald Trump accusing the Iranian government of hacking its internal communications. That's the Trump campaign's internal communications, though the identity and the motivation of the alleged hacker are yet to be confirmed.
Now, I mentioned this one at the top of the show, Sean. Foxtel is up for sale after owner News Corp undertook a review of its assets and uncovered third-party interest in the pay TV business, which owns streaming services Binge and KO Sport and aggregation platform Hubble.
News boss Robert Thompson said the group is evaluating options for Foxtel. News owns 65% of the pay TV organisation. Telstra owns the other 35%. The business has about 1 million subscribers who on average pay around $90 a month, including its streaming businesses, which are lower margin. It's got about 4.7 million subscribers. A significant factor in any sale of Foxtel is the renegotiation of the National Rugby League sports rights, which are due to expire in 2027. Those rights are shared between Nine Entertainment and Foxtel. Foxtel has secured the rights to the AFL and most of the cricket until the early 2030s.
The Foxtel news somewhat overshadowed News Corp's full-year result, with earnings jumping 8% to $1.5 billion off revenue of just over $10 billion.
Yeah, it's a pretty good result. Earnings from its majority stake in online property group REA was a highlight of the final figures. Another highlight, Michael, one for you, its book publishing arm, HarperCollins, also did well. Yeah. As did the Dow Jones publishing business, which includes the Wall Street Journal.
I'm sorry, Sean. I honestly don't know what my contribution here is today. You introduced kind of that as something that I might be able to either comment on, and all I did was squeak twice.
Squeak knowledgeably.
Yeah, it was a knowledgeable squeak. Please go on.
Yeah. The weak parts of the business includes the news media segment, which includes the publishing business here in Australia, lower revenues at its US online property company. Chief Executive Robert Thompson said last financial year delivered robust earnings and included significant steps to prepare the company to prosper in an artificial intelligence world. Meanwhile, REA share price jumped 7% following a 27% rise in its underlying profit.
Retailer Nick Scali has recorded a near 20% drop in full year profit and reduced dividends as shoppers hold back from buying big ticket items.
Yeah, it's pretty tough out there in retail land. The furniture retailer is always one of the first consumer discretionary companies to report, and based on a sample of one, Nick Scali, things ain't going so well. That's thanks to high interest rates and cost of living pressures. Nick Scali said shoppers had delayed buying bigger ticket items like furniture, and the group reported an 8% drop in revenue across its 128 stores in Australia and the United Kingdom. It also warned that trading in the UK, where it owns Fab Furniture, that's F-A-B-B, Michael, Fab Furniture, is expected to deteriorate. Its share price on Friday finished down 2%.
Can you please say that?
Say it again? Fab.
Because I admire your ability to really emphasize the double B then.
Yeah, so to actually get a second syllable out of that word is difficult. Fab, but you can if you try hard.
Oh, and you do it.
It should actually be double A. F-A-A-B, you might get fab, but I'm saying fab, but it's actually F-A-B-B.
And you do it fabulously, Sean. It is quite glorious. QBE Insurance's share price fell more than 2% after doubling its net profit in the first half of this year to $802 million.
It was a great result compared to last year, but fell short of expectations, hence the sell-off. The result benefited from lower levels of natural catastrophe losses while still being able to push through premium increases. Now, when the insurance is a really technical industry and it's difficult to get your head around the numbers. So what I mostly look for in the insurers is what's it mean for premiums. And the good news for customers is that insurance premium growth is expected to slow on the back of increased competition and fewer natural disasters. Now, QBE writes 2/3 of its business outside Australia. It also has done a deal to offload its long tail of claims in North America. Chief Executive Andrew Horton said the insurer was facing more competition in the global business, with a recovery in Australian insurance markets also tempting more global insurers back into the local market. More competition, lower premiums. Good for we customers. Mind you, not shareholders. That's why QBE's share price ended down 2% on Friday.
How about this one, Sean? Regional Express, better known obviously as Rex, owes creditors around $500 million, which is more than first anticipated.
EY Administrator Sam Freeman told the first meeting of Rex creditors on Friday that a sale process has commenced with the intention of securing as much money as possible for around 4,800 creditors, excluding customers. Of the $500 million total, around $120 million is owed to Asian private equity house PAG, and a further $170 million is owed to Westpac. Now, that amount is fully underwritten by state and federal government for air ambulance services. The next creditors meeting is due to be held by September 3, where EY will provide an update on the sale process. Administrators say they would prefer Rex's regional flights to continue as a going concern. Let's hope so.
Yeah, indeed. The federal government will introduce legislation this week to place 4 of the CFMEU's construction divisions into administration for 3 years.
Workplace Relations Minister Murray Watt on Friday said it was clear the union would not agree to administration in a timely manner and urgent action was required to rid the construction industry of organised crime. The Fair Work Commission has applied to the federal court to establish a scheme of administration, but Senator Watt said it's clear the union will not, and I quote, consent to that application in a timely manner, and that significant delays will likely accompany the court process, end quote. The point there is that the government is worried that the CFMEU will delay things. The government said the proposed scheme would appoint an administrator to the CFMEU's construction divisions in 5 states and the Northern Territory for a period of 3 years.
All right, turning to international news now, and Coca-Cola Company, this is quite significant, could owe the US tax office $16 billion in back taxes, and the figure is rising at more than $1 billion a year.
Coke and US tax authorities have been in dispute for more than a decade, and last week, a court judgment said the soft drink maker has been hiding astronomical levels of profit in low-tax countries, including Ireland, to shield it from the US Internal Revenue Service. Coke's planning to appeal the judgment, according to a report in the Financial Times. After last week's decision, though, Coke will have to fork out an initial $6 billion in cash to cover unpaid taxes and interests for the years from 2007 to 2009. But neither that sum nor the $10 billion it could owe for the subsequent 15 years will actually hit earnings anytime soon because the company and its auditor, EY, agree that there's a better than 50-50 chance of Coke winning the case. Now, if Coke and EY are wrong, the total bill will be the equivalent of about a year and a half of earnings.
That's an amazing story. Having said that, so is this next one. It's an entirely different category of story, this is. A Russian chess champion has been suspended after poisoning her childhood rival ahead of a match by smearing mercury, deadly mercury, over her pieces.
And I apologise for my pronunciation. Amina Bakarova is reported to have said she attacked Umagnat Uzmanova out of revenge for a personal insult. She's been arrested and faces up to 3 years in jail if found guilty, according to the Daily Telegraph of London. Security footage captures the moment Abakarova entered the hall where the tournament was to take place in southern Russia, and she appears to be making the preparations for the poisoning. She's seen looking around as she casually approaches her opponent's table before taking something from her bag, seemingly a vial, and smearing its contents on Osmanova's board and some of her pieces. Ms. Osmanova suffered severe dizziness and nausea soon after the game began and required medical attention. A judge from the tournament reported the incident to police, with CCTV footage confirming that Abakarova had been present.
That is just amazing. And so for that, she was suspended.
Yes, for the time being.
At the moment, she might have got off lightly, I suspect.
That's
yes.
Right. Yes.
Yes. All right. Up next, Sean. It's very hard to go from that story into talking about Stephen Koukoulas, our resident economist, but I have to, because up next in the playlist, the Fear and Greed playlist, is Fear and Greed the Week Ahead, featuring Stephen Koukoulas.
Yes. In fact, we're very kind of excited after last week's carry on with the Reserve Bank. So we talk about that and what's coming up this week. Stephen is always great to listen to.
Yeah, indeed. And following that, you will then hear Anna Milne in the Fear and Greed Daily interview, speaking to Anna from Wilson Asset Management.
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we talked to her about some of Australia's biggest companies and what to expect from them this earnings season.
Yeah, they are 2 great episodes coming up next in the Fear and Greed playlist on your podcast platform or at fearandgreed.com.au, which is also where you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It comes out on Wednesday, so there's never been a better time than right now to sign up. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2024. Make sure you're following the podcast and please join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was Fear and Greed. Have a great day.